Tonight, Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, and we have reaction. Also, Saskatoon's University Bridge is closed after an encampment fire damages sewage pipes. Plus, the Roughriders hire the all-time Canadian Rush leader as their new running backs coach.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, January the 20th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thanks for joining us. A major commuter route in Saskatoon has been shut down until further notice. The University Bridge closed late Sunday night after a fire erupted, sending raw sewage into the nearby river. Helena Mahalik reports.
The fire under University Bridge started just before 10 p.m. Sunday night. The Saskatoon Fire Department says someone in a homeless encampment had lit a fire. That got out of control, and the person was gone by the time fire crews arrived. They found smoke and flames coming from underneath the University Bridge. The blaze melted sewer pipes, leaking raw sewage into the South Saskatchewan River, and that forced the closure of the entire bridge. By 2 p.m. Monday, the fire chief said the fire was likely extinguished, but the extreme cold made it hard to know if the risk was completely gone.
As of now, we think the fire is out using our thermal imaging cameras, but however, because it is a confined space and it is a long span and difficult to get to, there's a honeycomb shape as it goes through where the void forms were, so it's difficult to get at it. So that's why we continue to monitor.
Wastewater crews are doing modeling to make sure there is capacity to avoid residents experiencing a sewer backup. The city's waste and water management team says sewage leaking from the bridge and into the South Saskatchewan River could affect nearby communities.
We've contacted different places downstream that would be consuming river water and making sure they're aware of any potential risks.
The fire chief says this illustrates the fire hazard of some homeless encampments.
Well, they're discouraged in the city because of the safety aspect, right? How often? I don't have any numbers for you, but they are significant.
The city says it could cost up to $100,000 for emergency sewer and bridge repairs. The bridge won't be assessed until Wednesday, meaning the bridge could be closed for several days. In the meantime, the city is asking commuters to reroute their commute and for those in the area to limit water use if possible. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Murder charges have been laid in connection to the deaths of 3 men in Lloydminster last fall. Those deaths shook the border city. Wallace Snowden has the latest.
RCMP here in Lloydminster are announcing new details of a tragedy that occurred here in the city a few months ago. Late on the night of September 11th, RCMP were called to a home here in the border city and found Brett Peters and his 2 adult sons shot to death.
It impacted a lot of the families. It's more difficult now that there was 3 of them shot and killed, and not just, especially in their own home as well.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's very scary. Honestly, a lot goes through my mind. I don't know what to even think. We're finally getting some closure at last, I guess.
Now, RCMP have announced charges in the case against a Saskatchewan man, Nakota Puyak. Police say Puyak had been incarcerated on unrelated charges since mid-September. They say an accomplice was also identified in the investigation, but that man has since died. RCMP say it was an extensive investigation.
Since the beginning of this investigation, we have been committed to uncovering an accurate and fulsome account of the murders and bringing those responsible to justice. This investigation involved countless hours of meticulous and tenacious work, as well as collaboration with other RCMP and municipal police agencies.
The accused appeared in court this morning. And the RCMP, meanwhile, were reluctant to speak to motive, saying the details of what transpired will come out through the court process. And the victim's family are eager for those answers. Wallace Snowden, CBC News, Lloydminster.
Saskatoon police respond to thousands of missing person reports every year, but some of those reports could be avoided. A new app is making a difference. Created by the kids, it aims to help. Jeremy Warren reports.
Missing youth report.
Every time a young person is reported missing, Saskatoon police can spend hours searching the city, but frontline workers say many of those reports are not necessary. Often they involve the same teenagers, and they're not in immediate danger. Wow. This youth outreach worker says many live in group homes, and their caregivers know exactly where they are.
They'd be visiting their friends, watching the show, knock on the door. It was the city police to pick them up and take them home. You know, and they weren't drinking, they were sober, they weren't at any risk. And it got really embarrassing and really tiresome for them.
In 2023, more than 4,000 missing person reports were made to Saskatoon police, and of those, about 7 out of 10 were for habitual runaways.
I would just run away from my family and in the group home and all that.
Promise Gordon was one of those teens. Now she's part of Operation Runaway, run by EGADS in Saskatoon.
They hold you accountable if you need to be held accountable. Yeah, they just tell you straight up how it is. So, and you gotta stick to the plan too.
Some kids in the program helped design an app called Missing Youth Sask. Now, when a kid breaks curfew at a group home, staff review their personal info on the app before filing a missing persons report.
Is there an immediate risk right now, or is it simply that they're not home right now, that they're more absent from care than missing? And so the app has, prompts them to answer a series of questions, and at the end of the day, it's going to tell them, okay, this does need to be reported missing or not.
Saskatoon police say group homes using the app are filing fewer missing youth reports, and reports for habitual runaways dropped by 700 last year. Police say this frees up resources for officers to focus on finding missing people who are at risk or the victims of crime. It also allows frontline workers to support kids rather than just looking for them. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The opposition says the Premier is not protecting Saskatchewan's agricultural industry. This after a pair of major agriculture projects in the Regina area were put on hold. Chris Edwards explains.
Opposition leader Carla Beck isn't happy with Premier Scott Moe's handling of Saskatchewan's agricultural dealings. She says he's been absent since Federated Co-op announced that it's pausing construction of a renewable diesel facility and a canola crushing project. Word came just after the federal government approved the acquisition of Viterra by American-owned Bunge. Beck says the developments show a lack of attention on the Premier's part.
The problem is what Scott Moe hasn't done. We haven't heard a single word from Scott Moe or the Sask party. We didn't hear a word from them, even though this dropped right during a time when producers from right across the province were meeting at the crop production show or at the seed forum.
Last week, Federated Co-op said the decision was because of regulatory and political uncertainty and potential shifts in low-carbon policy. While they haven't said exactly what those uncertainties are, some economists point to issues with the United States and the federal carbon tax.
Essentially, you've got the U.S. tariffs, you've got the threatened retaliatory tariffs on Canadian energy, you've got radical shifts in the likelihood of consumer carbon pricing, and other regulatory changes that make this facility less appealing.
Canola farmers would have benefited the most from these projects, converting their canola into renewable diesel fuel. Now, the president of the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan says that while he's disappointed, he's still optimistic about the future of the industry.
Anytime there's more demand, usually translates into better returns for producers. So this is going to maybe mute some of the optimism in the canola industry, but it's not going away anytime soon.
In a statement, the province said that it's disappointed in Federated Co-op's decision, but it remains optimistic that the project will move ahead down the road. Chris Edwards, CBC News, Regina.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders have added a 4-time Grey Cup champ to their coaching staff. Andrew Harris is the new running backs coach. The former RB played 15 seasons in the CFL, split between BC, Winnipeg, and Toronto. He won a Grey Cup with each team. Harris is still the CFL's all-time leading Canadian rusher. He retired in 2023, and he says he's excited for what's to come.
I think there's a lot of energy and passion for the team, which is amazing. So, when you have
30,000 or 40,000, whatever the capacity is there on your side, and then a whole province behind you that I really care about the team, that really makes going to work and doing your job. There's a bigger purpose there, because you got people that are expecting you to win and be great, and that pressure makes diamonds. So I'm looking forward to just getting in with the group, and obviously I know AJ and some of the guys a bit, but just helping them get their games to the next level.
Harris will replace Anthony Vitale, who will not be returning to the Saskatchewan Roughriders for personal reasons. Are you dreaming of warmer days? Campers, mark your calendars. Summer campsite reservation dates have been announced. Seasonal bookings in provincial parks start April 7th. Nightly, yurt, and group sites launch between April 8th to 15th, starting at 7 a.m. every day. You can find more specifics on the Sask Parks website. We'll be back with your forecast after the break. Donald Trump is back in the White House as the 47th President of the United States. The inauguration took place inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda because of frigid weather.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States. The golden age of America begins right now.
Trump got right into his agenda, declaring an emergency at the border with Mexico and promising to send back what he called millions of criminal aliens. He's also pulling the U.S. back out of the Paris Climate Accord and says the U.S. will take back control of the Panama Canal. On social issues, he says the U.S. will only recognize just two genders, male and female. And on trade, he did not announce any immediate tariffs on Canadian goods. Now, Canada is watching carefully, obviously. As Olivia Stefanovich reports, just because they haven't been imposed doesn't mean the threat of those tariffs has gone away.
A feeling of trepidation hangs over the federal cabinet as members of the Prime Minister's most senior team gather here in Montebello, Quebec, for a retreat over the next 2 days. Their meetings entirely focused on Canada-U.S. relations and the impact that Donald Trump's new presidency might have on this country.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
In his inaugural address, Trump vowed to move ahead with tariffs and create the External Revenue Service, a new government agency to collect money from taxes on foreign countries. But Trump didn't mention Canada once in his speech, and he didn't sign an executive order to impose tariffs on Canadian goods either, buying Canadian officials more time to respond to whatever comes next.
I'm very happy to be here in Montebello today to dig in on issues facing Canadians here at this cabinet retreat.
Pas de tariff pour l'instant. Pas de tariff. The Prime Minister was asked if the threat of tariffs is over for now. He responded, yes, for now. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and senior federal government officials say they are prepared to respond almost immediately if Trump follows through. They have a list of 10 American products that they've identified for counter tariffs, including Kentucky bourbon, orange juice, and washing machines. Canadian officials also say they are preparing two larger rounds of counter tariffs valued at $37 billion and $110 billion each. So the federal government taking a cautious approach as they watch every single move from this new administration carefully, wondering how long this reprieve will last. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Montebello, Quebec.
President Trump also used his inauguration speech to claim credit for the ceasefire in Gaza and for the first hostage release. Sasha Petrusik has more on the potential Trump effect on the war.
There is a feeling here that maybe this war is actually over, and many give credit to Donald Trump for that, for the pressure he placed on the Israeli government to accept a deal which has been on the table for months. However, Israel's only agreed and negotiated the first phase of this agreement, 6 weeks in which 33 hostages will be returned. There are still more than 60 who will remain, and that would be part of a second phase of this deal, something that Israel has not agreed to, not yet. And the families of the hostages say that Donald Trump needs to add more pressure.
So I hope that after the inauguration today, he doesn't just get his, victory of having 3 hostages come home and whatever. He needs to see this to the end as well.
The negotiations on that second phase will start in a couple of weeks, and Israel has already indicated that it may not be so keen to actually go through with that. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has gone on TV to say that he sees this ceasefire as temporary and that the fighting will eventually continue. This is what he said on TV the other day, saying that Donald Trump agrees with him.
Since he was elected, Trump was completely committed to the release of the hostages. We spoke on Wednesday. He congratulated me on the agreement, and he emphasized, and rightly so, that the first stage is a temporary ceasefire. This is what he said, a temporary ceasefire.
But while Netanyahu says that Trump is on board with his vision of the future, that's not at all clear. For Netanyahu, he's under pressure from hardline right-wing members of his own coalition. He depends on them for his political survival, and they don't want this fighting to stop. They say that if Israel stops it, it would be surrendering to Hamas, and they want that to continue. They say the hostages are secondary. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News, Jerusalem.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. What a start to the week, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Woke up on Monday morning here and we had some pretty frigid conditions really all across the province. And should note, no records set with this cold snap. It actually has to be down well into the minus 40s this time of year for us to get there. And we are slowly on our way actually back upward now. The normal temperatures for this time of year only get warmer from here on out for many of us. But still, many of us well into the minus 30s through Monday morning. And of course, wind chill wise, near minus 50 in a lot of locations, including both Regina and Saskatoon. Both cities under extreme cold warnings as we head into Monday evening. Those will likely drop off from west to east as we get into Tuesday morning. Until then, the evening will be spent with wind chills around that minus 40 range. But that warm up is coming thanks to the warm front that you see out there in Alberta. And you can see the real spread in temperatures already getting to minus 11 Monday in Maple Creek, but only managing minus 26, minus 27 if you're in places like Estevan and Regina. Now, the other thing that's, of course, going to be changing with this is our jet stream pattern. The jet stream, the big trough that we've been seeing drop far into the United States moves eastward, and then we see this ridge building out west, which is going to bring those warmer conditions our way. But with the warmer temperatures comes a bit of some cloud cover. This high pressure has been keeping things clear. Clouds build in overnight for many of us, and that allows this next low pressure system to move in. And that'll bring some snow through much of northern and parts of east central Saskatchewan as we head overnight through the day on Tuesday. For Wednesday, as that system kind of drops southward, parts of south and central early Wednesday morning could catch some flurries or light snow, and then another round of some light snow possible for Regina and the south Wednesday afternoon. Cloud cover remaining a theme as we head toward the end of the week, and a more substantial weather system bringing some snow to central and northern sections as we get through the day Thursday. But as we head overnight Monday into Tuesday and through the day Tuesday, I think generally maybe in the range of 5 to 8 centimeters in that line from Uranium City down through Cumberland House. And as that system moves through the north and brings snow there, south and central, we start to see the winds pick up overnight Monday into Tuesday, and through the day Tuesday gusting 50 to 60 kilometers an hour as those start shifting from the northwest once again, and even a little bit breezy still for southern sections as we get into Wednesday. So for Regina, yeah, massive warm up for Tuesday, nearly 20 to degrees warmer, or 25 degrees than we saw Monday. Back into a little bit of a cooler trend as we see that cold front move through for the rest of the work week. But then the sun comes out just in time for the weekend. Saskatoon, again, we have a sun-cloud mix for Tuesday, and then I think cloud cover with a chance of some flurries for Wednesday, Thursday, and then some wind moving in for Friday, Saturday, but some sunshine and warmer temperatures. I think we can all hear the collective sigh of relief now that we've made it out of this cold snap, Sam.
Not just hear it, we're all doing it.
Yeah, legitimately.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. We have more news for you coming up after the break. Despite the cold, about 200 people came out in support of women's and gender diverse people's rights in Regina and Saskatoon over the weekend. It was part of the annual Women's March. The first one took place in Washington in 2017. It coincided with the inauguration of U.S. President Donald Trump the first time. In Regina, Saturday's walk began at the YWCA. After a brief program, participants marched through the downtown carrying signs before returning to their starting point. One volunteer says it's particularly important to draw attention to these issues in Saskatchewan.
We still have challenges with missing, murdered Indigenous women girls. We have the highest rate of intimate partner violence in the country, and the latest numbers actually show that's increasing, not decreasing. And then, of course, we're supporting reproductive rights and making sure that people have access to the resources, services, and education that they need to make those choices.
Marchers in Saskatchewan braved temperatures around minus 25 in both cities on Saturday afternoon, and of course, the wind made it feel even colder. Similar events were organized in many North American cities the same day, all part of the global movement focused on fighting sexism and exploitation. Oh, and Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
And it wasn't too cold for CJ to get outside this past weekend and grab a lovely photo of her friend, the elk, enjoying some of the nice winter weather in north central Saskatchewan. Yeah, a little bit chilly for those of us trying to get out and enjoy some outdoor activities, but I think the warm-up is underway. You can already see as we head into late Monday, temperatures jumping above that minus 20 mark on the western side of the province, but still especially a chilly evening near minus 30 if you're closer to the Manitoba border. Throughout northern Saskatchewan, again, we're already seeing mid-minus teens overnight in western sections, and some snow again moving in as we head through the day on Tuesday. Again, another 2 to 4 centimeters Uranium City through to about the Cumberland House area as those temperatures begin getting near minus 10 in portions of northern Saskatchewan. For south and central, again, east central sections could catch a little bit of some snow, but some clearing out happening in western sections. But those temperatures in between freezing and minus 5, although we'll pay with that warmth, Sam. We always have to, and that comes in the form of a little bit of some wind.
My goodness, though, it is going to be downright balmy.
Yeah, take off the jacket for sure.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
That is it from us. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thank you so much for watching.